Meatheads for life. Boy.
Hello and welcome to episode 58 of Chet and John's Reassuringly Finite Gaming Playlist. My name is Chet Roivers. With me, as usual, is John Denton.
Happy birthday, Chet.
Cheers. As usual, you know the format, two top 10 lists, the games we've been playing over the past 7 days. Number 10's the game we played the least. Number 1's the game we played the most. You know the deal. Let's do it. John, let's go. Number 10.
Number 10, Redneck Revenge on iOS, one of those freebies that's up towards the top of the chart. You play as a redneck in a hat, a bit like me, and zombies come from the right. You're behind a bar on the left. I didn't play this for very long, it might change. You can move up and down, and then you tap the screen where the zombies are to shoot them. Another redneck came through the door and started helping me. There were zombies with wigs. It seemed fine. I'm sure there was going to be a barrage of in-app purchases because it was free to get new weapons and whatnot because the pistol that you start with is shit. But I only played it for a minute, so I need another game to get on this list. So yeah, Redneck Revenge. I'm sure it's all right, but you know, it's that type of deal.
I assume you're not going to play that again then?
No.
Okay.
No, I'll delete it straight after this podcast.
Recommendations. All right. Okay, my number 10 is Borderlands 2. I played it for literally 5 minutes. I have a strange admiration for a small band of my friends who are obsessed with Borderlands 2. When a new piece of DLC comes out for it, they drop everything and they keep playing it. They've each played the game at least 4 times, one with each character, at least.
That's bizarre to me.
That's what happened. Basically, a mate said, play it for a bit, I've got to take a phone call. And I started I played it from beginning to end, really liked it. It was in my top 20 favourite games of last year. I thought it was an incredibly good video game. But as soon as it started, I was like, every NPC bit of dialogue, every sheet metal ramp, every twang of guitar music on the soundtrack, I was like, I've done it. I really don't want to be back here. I mean, as much as I loved it, I'm just like, I don't know how they've gone through it twice, let alone 4 and now 5 times. There's a new difficulty setting that's just come out, so they're doing it on ultra hard mode or some shit. But everything about it, I was like, I've been here. And cause, with somebody with no memory whatsoever, that's quite a feat. I guess it made an impression, if anything, but I can't go back.
Yeah, both those games just kind of lost me after a few hours. Something to do with the relentless grind of... I just don't like that loop flow. I don't think that's for me, but I can see why people get stuck into it.
Yeah. You never finished the second one, did you?
No, I've got to about the same distance in both the first and the second one, like 6 hours in, and then just the thought of putting it back in, I'm just like, eh.
It's because you're doing it on single player, that's why.
Yeah, I know, but I've got no friends, so, you know, what can you do?
True that. You right?
I'm all right, yeah. You're the one that sounded like you were about to keel over.
Sorry, yeah, no, hold on, I'll give me 1 second. We're all good.
Stop smoking.
I don't smoke, you nutcase.
Yes. Yeah, it's a terrible assumption of me to make. Number 9, Candy Crush Saga. This is a game that everybody seems to be playing on Facebook. People who should know better, like our friend Jay, kept messaging me. It's just a match 3 standard zookeeper fucking Bejeweled type deal with sweets, but apparently the further you get, it starts really hammering you for real money by making it almost impossible. I don't know how, because I only played the first couple of levels, and it's like a million other games that I've played already, so I shan't be continuing. But I can see how it's kind of grabbed people who've never really played games like that before, because match 3 games are fun, but I ain't going to play it.
That's a bit curious. I'm surprised Jay's playing something like that. But so I assume if you recommend it to people on Facebook, do they give you coins or something?
Yeah, something like that. The first thing that it does, it says like massive thing, log in with Facebook, or a tiny little dot that doesn't say no thanks or I'm alright. It says miss out. That's your option. Yeah. So I'd imagine most people went in through Facebook, and that probably makes the game better. I don't know. Fuck it. I'm not going to play it.
All right. Okay, I'll avoid it. I wouldn't play a game on Facebook anyway. Who the hell does that?
Well, actually, this was on iPhone, but I think you can play on Facebook as well.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right, my number 9 is The Flying Dead on the Xbox 360. It's an indie game. I really like the cover art, as usual. It's I just like the concept of the flying dead. These dead people, zombies, flying aeroplanes. The cover art is rendered in that kind of sort of jolly You know how kids' TV programs, they always make vehicles and people mostly kind of cherubic and chubby and kind of like lovable and shiny.
Yeah.
The planes like that, and
Right.
I genuinely laughed when I saw these planes flying around with dead people piloting them. The game's bollocks, basically. It's you move from left to right in this plane, shooting zombies in other planes. You're not a zombie, which is disappointing. You collect coins in the sky. You can use coins to change, upgrade your weapons, get rapid fire and bombs and stuff. It's just, and you get three. It's an iOS game on the Xbox. I checked to see if it was on iOS as well. It's not. It's just really, you absolutely do not need to play it. It's like Alien Spidey. It belongs on a phone, but they've put it on an Xbox. It's bereft of any imagination at all. It's just pretty drab. It looks nice though, I suppose.
80 points?
Yes, 80 points. So, well, no, don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Flying Dead. I see what they've done there.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, they're smart. Quick one for me, number 8. A bit more of Pez, getting back into it. Just looking forward to seeing what happens with next year's on next gen now with the new Fox engine and whatnot. I still really like it. It's still way more than FIFA for me, but I know I'm in the minority there. It's just had a couple of classic Manchester derbies before the real Manchester derby, which wasn't a classic, but forget about that. Good fun, don't want to bang on about it, spoken about it too much. Bit of Pezage.
I like Pez, it's good.
Real talk.
Better than Thieves, boy. Okay, my number 8 is another Xbox Live indie game, and this is called Uproar City in Chaos. Now, this should be hilarious. It's again, the cover art was a grabber. It's basically some text on the title's on the top, and then there's text that you can't read, and then pictures of guys doing karate poses.
Sweet.
And I thought, I don't even know what that is. And then I went back and I was like, that's supposed to be a mock-up of a newspaper, and the title's the headline, but it's so badly done. It doesn't look anything like that.
Even better. Yeah,
basically, this should not have been released, and I've spoken about this before. I can understand if you've created a game on that space, the desire to just get something up there and put it for sale must be so tempting. Imagine Streets of Rage, the most badly animated Streets of Rage. I mean, it's so bad I can't quite believe it. But it's not even funny. It's like vaguely photorealistic stickmen, mannequins. Really, I mean, it's terrible. I can't even begin to try and describe how terrible it is. It's clear that the guy that created it, or the people that created it, are hoping that it can do some trade off the back of people who just buy it because it's so bad it's funny. I mean, at the end of the day, you can only punch and you can kick. Sometimes buttons don't work if you press them more than once, so you can only punch repeatedly. And the only amusing thing is that every time you knock someone down, they do this really slow motion face plant straight into the ground, and that's like amusing for a minute. There's no backgrounds. Occasionally, there's a boxy petrol station, or at one point there's a house with a burning car outside to show that you're on the wrong side of the tracks. I mean, it's offensive that because the worst part is it's not 80 Microsoft points, it's 240.
Damn.
And you wouldn't even. It's actually quite. Yeah. This is happening more and more as the Xbox Live indie game area is been sort of put out to pasture. There's just people are just taking the piss now. I mean, there's no obligation to buy it, but I just kind of felt, well, why did you bother doing that? You could another few months and you could have actually made something and actually sold it and got money for it. But instead, you're taking the piss. I'm surprised they didn't put 800 Microsoft points on it. It's one of the worst games I've ever played on the service, and that is saying something.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was the uproar?
There's no honestly. It starts out and there's a bit of text saying start game or credits, and that's it. There's no story. It's just you walking along, hitting people, repeatedly pressing the same button. I mean, it's diabolically poor. And yeah, the poor bastard. He could have given it a couple more months and actually sold something, but he decided not to, and he's a div.
Div. Yeah. Harsh words.
Yeah.
Harsh words. My number 7 is Luigi's Mansion 2, 3DS. It's been a pathetic week, really. I've been playing very small chunks of games, played like a couple more levels. Still really good. Love the 3DS now. I wish I had the big one, though. I've only got the little one.
Big one.
And then apparently you can't transfer your shit over without a cable or something, so you can't part exit properly. That's annoying. But yeah, if I ever saw it being played on one of the big ones, I think I'd be distraught.
They're definitely better. They're so much better. Can't you just go into like a place and then hook up the consoles and then transfer. You don't
no one wants to spend that long in CEX. No one.
That's true. That is some body odour place.
Yeah, that's pure odes.
Yeah.
And you'd have to have a conversation. I've done that before. I've got stuck in there for 40 minutes before, and it was fucking torch.
Yeah. I remember I was in there once and I saw this mum dragging her kid through, and she was like, "We're getting out of here. It smells of boys in it." To trade him in, yeah. No, he had to buy a game, and she was like dragging him around, like pick something. And then eventually she just went, "We're getting out of here. It smells of boys," and I was like, "It really fucking does." Little boys who ain't washed. It's a grim place. Yeah. Anyway. On to something a bit more fragrant is my number 7, which is Phoenix HD on iOS. Have you heard of this?
I'm pretty sure I've played it.
Yeah.
And even maybe talked about it on this podcast.
Oh, well, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I recommended a game last week, which was superb. Dan Maku Unlimited 2, an iOS cave-style shooter. That's just an absolutely superb version of sort of that cave iOS game type. But one of our listeners said, if you like that, try Phoenix HD. And I downloaded it. It's the core game is free. But there's microtransactions to buy additional ships. It's basically, first of all, it looks staggering. It's actually 2 years old, or the best part of 2 years old. It came out in 2011, and it still looks eye-popping. I played it on the iPad, and I was like, wow, this looks great. And it's a really, really, it's basically an excellent shooter. I mean, as I said, the initial ship is free, and you can buy additional ships, which basically change the game completely. And they all have sort of archetypal shooter sort of. So you can buy a ship that it's powered up by using Burnout style, sort of dodging bullets, getting really close to them. There's one that if you stay still, you have really powerful lasers, so you have to get into a position where you frequently sort of still. There's one that's got lock-on missiles. There's one where you can slow down time. So basically, it's a way of prolonging the life of the game. But the game, as it is, just the vanilla game is really, really good. It's surprisingly unusual. There's no levels as such. It's randomised completely, and it scales the difficulty and the AI towards you. So all the ships are at random, and the better you play, the harder it gets, and it is always different. As I said, it looks great. It's got this really brilliant, completely incongruous, really laid-back electronic soundtrack, which is just really fitting. I'm surprised no one's done that before, because normally it's like bah, 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 digitized sort of guitars and all that shit. But this is a really mellow music, and it works really well. There's regional leaderboards, so I'm trying to beat the guy in Brighton who's got the most sickening high score that I don't quite understand. It starts because it scales, the difficulty scales. It starts really easy, and then it gets bastard difficult. But brilliantly so. It's really good. I think I may shell out for a couple of the additional ships, because it's I'm pretty good at these. So on my first try, I got what I think is fairly far through the game. Although you never know what's going to come next because it's randomised. But yeah, it's free. So just have a look at it. Phoenix HD, really, really, really good. I'm going to play it some more, so I'll speak about it more next week.
Yeah, I remember it being really good when I played it. Like I've always said, it's not my genre, but I do appreciate and enjoy it. I'm just not very good at it.
Yeah, but really impressive.
Yeah, no doubt. Slightly less exciting is my number 6. It's called Six Numbers. It's the number 1 free game on iPhone at the moment, as of the time of recording. And here are words I never thought I'd say on this podcast, but Countdown.
Yeah.
The numbers game in Countdown.
Oh, yeah.
It's that.
Oh.
I can't do the letters game in Countdown, despite being a writer, but I can do the numbers game, and I quite enjoy it. So when I just moved house, we didn't really have any TV or anything to do, no internet, and so I watched Countdown, and they did more numbers game than they used to do or something, I don't know. But I kept getting them all, so I was feeling pretty smart, and now suddenly there's a game which is actually strangely appealing to me. I imagine probably quite a lot of other people as well, seeing as it's number 1 and a lot of people watch Countdown. But yeah, if you've not played the numbers game on Countdown, I can't believe I'm saying this, you get 6 numbers. Some of them are small, some of them are big, like 50, 25, 75 or 100, and then a number will come up at the top, and you have to use the numbers that you've got. You can only use them once each, and you can plus, minus, multiply or divide to get to the number as easily as possible. That's it. In Countdown, you've got 30 seconds. In this, you don't have a time limit, but you seem to be ranked on how quickly or how few moves you can do it in. And some people out there will go, oh yeah, I like the numbers game countdown, and other people have already switched off the podcast. So yeah, that's what it is.
Okay, I hated those numbers games. The only ones I ever got right was when Carol Vorderman would laugh at the screen like, haha, we're not idiots.
It was like 100 plus 2 equals...
yeah. And even then I'd be like, I'd be until the end of the last second. What was it called again, sorry?
6 numbers.
Okay, and it's free?
Yeah, it's free. I don't really know how the in-app stuff works. There is in-app stuff, but I was ploughing through it. All right.
Okay. Some enterprising development team will make a paid version, and all the money will go to put Carol Vorderman's mug on the front cover.
She's gone. She's not on it anymore.
No, I know, but I mean, still, she's synonymous with Countdown, so people will see her face and go, "Yeah, I'll download that." Carol Vorderman's numbers conundrum. Or something.
It's true.
Yeah,
they should get that. The new girl. Anyway.
All right. I don't know what you're talking about. My number 6 is Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on the PlayStation 3. I won't talk about it. I've spoken about it already. I spoke about it when the original Ninja Gaiden 3 came out, which I liked, and the Wii U version of Razor's Edge, which I also liked. Probably more, I think. The only difference between the two with the Wii U Razor's Edge was slightly inferior visually, and there were a couple of sort of choppy frame rates and stuff. There was a little bit of a inferior package. This is much better. It's much more in line with the original Ninja Gaiden 3. If you've never played Ninja Gaiden 3 and you are interested, this is the version to get. I think it's not launched at a budget price as such, but I think it's 30 quid rather than 40 RRP, I think.
Right.
So if you played 3 and didn't like it, this is not... I don't think it's going to completely... I don't think it's quite the fan service that the fans wanted. It's definitely a step in the right direction. The combat's better. The additional content is kind of drab and uninvolving, and kind of... I don't think... You'd have to be a pretty hardened fan to go through all of it, because it's just repetitive and dull. And yeah, it's better looking than the Wii U version, but I'm surprised they've released it. They could have sort of sold an 800-point patch for the original if people wanted it. It's... Bit much to ask people to shell out for a full game, but good for what it is. It's worth picking up if you're interested.
Yeah, I found it quite fun when I played it on Wii U. It was alright.
Too hard?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, too hard on one difficulty setting and quite easy on another. Or something, I can't remember.
Alright.
But yeah, talking of too hard, my number 5 is Hotline Miami, which is out now for the Mac. I've had a litany of problems with this game, namely that when I had it on PC, it is so buggy that it had some of the worst game-breaking bugs that I've ever experienced, to the point where I ended up on level 4, which is fucking hard. Every level's fucking hard in that game. I must have done it about 150 times, the bottom floor of that, and I'd complete it, and I'd get stuck, because you do the bottom floor, then you go to the top floor, but I'd get stuck on the stairs, and the game would crash. And I was reviewing it, so I had to keep doing it and trying to find workarounds. Motherfucker. Anyway... it works fine on the Mac now. It doesn't seem to have any problems, but I think I'm so burnt out by the game that I can't get any pleasure out of it. And I don't think it's as good as some people have said it is. I mean, some of they got 10s and things like that, and it's very cool, super stylish. The gameplay is fun, definitely, but the fucking enemies don't have AI. They just hear you and they run at you, and they'll continue to run through the door like the silo mission in GoldenEye. And when it works, when you kick a guy, because you can kick the doors and that'll knock the guy behind it down. So you can do that, pick up their weapon, chuck that weapon at one guy, grab a gun, shoot another guy. When that happens, fucking awesome. But all too often, you'll have to, because it's so hard, you'll have to strategize, where you make a little noise, run into a bathroom, hide in a corner, and just wait for them one after another to pop through, and you go pop, 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 one bullet at a time, just hoping that you've got enough bullets for them to all get killed. It's not like 3 will go in and the other guys will realise, hold on, it's probably not the best idea, and wait outside or do something else. They will just all run in. So as stylish as it is, and the music's fucking amazing, and I really like the graphic style and everything like that, ultimately it becomes a little facile, although too hard. So I don't like it as much as other people. But then again, I was massively burnt out by that fucking all the terrible bugs. I don't think it should have been released in that state. But there you go.
Is the soundtrack as amazing as everyone says?
The soundtrack is fucking banging. The music is very similar to our own theme music.
Oh, okay.
That style, but slightly darker and nastier. The whole thing's really seedy and nasty, and tonally it's really spot on. Everything kind of ties together really well. I want to love it. I still do. That's why I went back to it, but I don't.
Okay, I still need to play it, but I know that almost everybody I've said this to has said, I want to play it on the pad, and then it's going to be a lesser game on the pad because you need the immediacy of either a mouse and a keyboard primarily, yeah.
No, the mouse is what you need.
Oh, it is. All right. I thought it
Yeah.
was played entirely on the keyboard. Okay.
No, the mouse. You controls like a first-person shooter on PC, so you move with the WASD or WASD or whatever, and then you control your cursor with the mouse. But you need that speed. Although I think you could get it to work on 2 sticks reasonably well.
Okay. All right. I mean, it's still really high on my list of games to play. I just haven't got round to it yet. But so the Mac version's less buggy than the PC one.
There was no problems on the Mac version. It worked fine.
Okay. Cool. All right.
But I've got a MacBook, so it's hard to play. You need a mouse.
Yeah. Right. Gotcha.
With 2 buttons and a scroll wheel.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay. Well, that's put me right off then.
Yeah.
Okay, right, my number 5 is Retro City Rampage on the Xbox 360. I bought it. It was in the sale. I think it's finished now. It's weird because I think it was last week I read an interview with the guy. It's like basically 99% of it was created by one guy, Brian Provinciano or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
And I read an interview with him on either... Not Kotaku, I think it was Gamasutra maybe. I can't remember, I don't even know why I said that. It was an interview with him and he was talking about how it sold, and he said it sold very well on PC, very well on PSN, not brilliantly on Xbox, and non-existent on WiiWare. And the writer of the article said, he sort of reached out at the end and said, if you're going to play this game, buy it on WiiWare just so the guy gets paid. Because they have that ridiculous quota system whereby if you don't sell like 1,000, I think, you don't get any money from it.
Oh, really?
So that's why WiiWare's been such a fucking dead zone, because there's a proviso that you have to sell a certain number of copies before you make any return on it. And I was actually going to do that. I made plans to buy it on WiiWare. I kind of wish I did, because it's very much, it belongs on a Nintendo system. It's most of the references, because it's non-stop gags, non-stop references to retro games and old movies and stuff, but primarily it's all Nintendo stuff. There's Mario references and Contra and Zelda and stuff like that. I have not decided how I feel about this game yet. For the first 2 hours, I just flat out hated it. I was just full of questions. I was like, why is this... First of all, I don't care who you are or what your interests are or what your obsessions are or whatever. I don't think anybody could justify paying what the original full price was for this, 1,200 Microsoft points. I don't know if there's anybody who could justify... At this point... I mean, it feels like it's shown me all... I've played it for about 3 hours. It feels like it's already shown me everything that it's got to offer. And I'm like, it's nice in that kind of weird way that you... In the way that, Slender, you can understand why people like that. But that was a fan project that was free. I'm not saying this should be free, but I paid 600 Microsoft points for it, and I don't know how I feel. Basically, the first 2 hours, bad. I didn't understand... retro gaming is a niche pursuit, so I can understand people liking... Some people, it's completely a retro game. There's only 8 directions. You can only control with 8 directions, which really irritated me, because I'm just like, that's something that I'm glad we don't have to do anymore. There's a surfeit of cutscenes. I mean, there's loads of... When I say cutscenes, I mean just dialogue. The story is just... There's no story. I mean, at one point, the hero goes, I'm the best at going from A to B, pressing one button and then going back. And it's like... That's all the game is. It is repetitive. I mean, I was only playing it to see what references they were. And they're not really jokes. They're just like they reference Bill and Ted and fucking Back to the Future and blah, 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 blah. I don't know what I think about it, because I turned it off thinking, I really think that's a misjudgment of it. I mean, it's a nice thing that, again... I'm glad I didn't play. I'd be furious if I paid 1,200 Microsoft points for it. I mean, it's repetitive. It is Grand Theft Auto from above. I mean, there's all this... It is open world. That's one thing I will say about it. It is genuinely open. There is a free roam mode, and there's all these shops you can go into, and you can buy this and buy that, but it's all just for nothing. It's like there's no real gameplay involved. It's just you can do it because, hey, you can do it. What's the point? You have to really weigh it up. If you're somebody who's nostalgic for that era, it's really... because I think it was originally built on NES architecture, so it does feel like a NES game at certain points. It's good-natured and sweet, but I just, as a game, I didn't find it very compelling. I haven't finished it. The only reason I'm having doubts about it is because when I put it on for a second time, I was like, you know what, this is actually all right. It's enjoyable. For a quick blast on it, go here, do that, go here, do that. I mean, it's... Yeah... There's one thing, presentation-wise, there's so much on the screen that you often don't know what you're looking at, because it's not rendered like a NES game. Back in those days, everything was simple. Here, for example, there's a bit where you rob a bank, and there's pot plants and desks and stuff, and I'm like, what am I looking at? Where am I? Where's my guy? All these people standing, and then I was like, it's like it's too sophisticated for what it's supposed to be. They've really over-egged it. And the side panels of the screen are like completely superfluous information, like all the moves you can do, which you learn anyway, all the ways you can get points, which you never look at anyway. I mean, it's so cluttered, the interface. The amount of times I thought, where's my health bar? There is a health bar, and I look up and you can't find it amongst all this fucking clutter. So it's because of what it costs and where you can get it, you have to judge it alongside everything else as a fully fledged product, and I can't do that because it feels like it was made by an enthusiast who I don't think ever dreamed that he'd be selling it for full whack for a game of that size on all of the platforms that it's on. But I don't know. You know what? That's all I'll say. I don't know. I'm glad as hell I didn't pay $1,200. I'll talk about it more next week because I'm going to try and finish it. But well, there you go. My reaction to it has been a fucking mess.
I played it on Vita, which I think helped. It was less cluttered.
Yeah,
and seemed more suited to being played in the handheld. I actually liked the first couple of hours because I was just finding it amusing, but then it started to get very repetitive and quite hard. And yeah, I can't hack it when it's like, exactly like that gag you said, I'm the king of going from A to B. It's like, yep, that's not a fun thing to do, is it? It never has been. Yeah. And there's more gags like that later on. You talk about, I'm the best at menial tasks. So it's like, it's just making me do menial tasks, smashing crates. Nice one. Yeah. Like that Simpsons game.
It's really. I mean, if you were like a NES nutcase, and some guy had gone to the trouble of having this like created on a NES cartridge and then distributing them online, and then someone showed it to me, I'd be like, oh man, that's so cool. It shows real love for the community. I mean, they must love that. But on an Xbox,
I can't imagine playing it on a big screen.
Yeah,
it felt, well, at least when I was playing the Vita, it kind of felt like I was playing a Game Boy Color or something, you know.
Yeah.
But I liked it. I thought it was cool. I was reviewing it, so I didn't pay my own money for it, and it was one of those situations where I thought, for the price, because I think it was like £12 on Vita, it's like, that is a lot.
Yeah, it is a lot. I mean, I don't know. It's confused the hell out of me because you have to really look at how much, because that's the thing. It is. I mean, as a feat, as an accomplishment for that guy, it's incredible because originally it was going to be called Grand Theft Nintendo or something.
Right.
It was Grand Theft Auto on a Nintendo until he started writing his own dialogue for it, and it is an impressive feat of programming, but it almost takes the piss of how unentertaining it is, and I'm so confused about how I feel about it because the second time I picked it up, like I said, I was like, you know what, this isn't so bad. I kind of have a slight nostalgia for those games. I played them. There's just elements of it that I thought I'm glad we've left them behind. But I don't know. Fuck knows. I'll talk about it again next week.
All right. Cool. My number 4 is a game I've talked about a couple of times before. One of the great Kickstarter successes. F.T.L. went back to it this week just because it's so fucking fun. And it is, and you just get, you know what it is, right? The sort of stage-based space adventure where you're basically Captain Kirk controlling the equivalent of the Starship Enterprise. And it's one of those roguelike games. I've said before, I don't know what that means. I know there was a game called Rogue, and it's like that, but I don't fucking know. But that's what people call it. And that's what it is. So random stuff happens in every single jump that you make throughout the things, and it's all written in a really kind of knowing but never like cloying or irritating way, just in a really like reverential way for that whole world. And the gameplay is just consistently brilliant. Strategic without like bogging you down in numbers or stats or anything like that. Everything's really simple. You can understand the whole game within half an hour, and it's all about the adventure that you have and the crazy stuff that happens along the way. And you can set out and the game can last 20 minutes or it can last 4 hours depending on how well you do. And I've still never beaten it. I've got to the last boss a few times. It's so fucking hard, which I'm not too sure if that was the best idea, because maybe they could have toned that down a little bit. But then again, if I ever do beat him, it will be a serious sense of accomplishment. And it is one of those games, to use the cliche, it is all about the journey and not the destination, because the journey's different every time. And like the best turn-based games, it creates stories on the fly, and you have emotional moments that you can't have in a real-time game sometimes, because you've got the time to kind of process everything and think about all your moves and your decisions and everything like that. And it's a glorious game. It's often on sale on Steam. Works on Mac and PC. You can often get it for under $5, and for that price, I mean, I've ploughed in probably 25 hours to that game easy. So you can't knock it for that price. It's just a fucking classic.
It's so funny that you say it's simple, because I whenever I hear about it, I'm like, that sounds so fucking terribly complicated.
It's really, really not.
Did you say it was being prepped to go to consoles?
I didn't say that, no.
Okay.
I don't think it is. I would be surprised, not because it couldn't be done on a console, it could easily be done on a console. I just don't know if the audience would be there that wouldn't have already picked it up, if that makes sense.
I see. Okay. Fuck, it's another one on the fucking list. God damn it.
If it pops up in the Steam sale for like £2, just buy it. It's fucking £2.
Yeah, right.
And then you can. I mean, it's one of those games going to be ageless because of the way it looks and the way it is. So one day you can just stick it on.
Okay. Yeah, I've got to get more. I've got to remember that I can game on my computer, because I've still got Thomas Was Alone sat on my desktop.
Anything like that's not massively graphically intensive.
Yeah.
You just I mean, it's almost better on a Mac because the screens are nicer. Like the interface is nice.
Okay. All right. My number 4 is The Walking Dead Assault on iOS.
Oh, yeah.
Have you heard of this?
Yeah, I talked about it a while ago on the pod.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Fuck. My memory's amazing.
Getting old, Warren.
Yeah,
You're getting old.
I know. Shit, I didn't think, because this has completely slipped me by. But then again, I just switched off when I hear about The Walking Dead, because as good as it is, I can't remember an intellectual property that's been dragged through the mill as many times as this. It's everywhere, everything.
Yeah, if it ain't the game, the proper game.
Yeah,
I'm not really paying attention.
That's funny you say that, because I don't think this is, in terms of quality, in terms of how good it is, how almost every area of it excels. I don't think this is that far behind the Telltale game. It took me completely by surprise. I actually downloaded it last month. IGN do a free iOS game a month thing. Do you know that?
Did they? No, I didn't know that.
Someone sent me a link to it. It's on the American IGN page, and once a month they'll have a skin with the game on it, and it's one of those pages that generates codes, and then you tap it into iOS.
Okay.
I assumed it would only work in America. It didn't, so I downloaded it, but then it just deleted itself. So I had to re-download it. Apparently it was $3 or whatever the equivalent is initially, but they've clearly changed it now, and it's exactly like Telltale's game in that it's you pay the first chapter's free, and then you're encouraged to buy subsequent chapters if you want them.
Right.
It surprised the bloody hell out of me. The art style is great. It's rendered to sort of look slightly like the comic book, so it's in black and white with the
it's very cool.
red. Yeah, it does look good. I love the way the camera works as well. It's a top-down shooter, but it's also a real-time strategy game as well, squad-based, and with regards to the camera, you can put 2 fingers on the camera, highlight a place, and then twist it and sort of spin the environment. It just really, really effective, especially for a game where it's so much so that you need to be able to see areas quite quickly. So basically it's an RTS. You move through the environment. A lot of your goals are quite simple, like clear out a hospital is the first one. You start with one person, and then you build up your squad, and eventually you get 4 characters. And it's really smart. I mean, you basically want to keep them together, but if you're really ambitious, you can send them off in different directions. As soon as you hit one place, all 4 people will coalesce in the same area. You can change all of their weapons instantly, so if they all get into a gun battle, you can change them all to have firearms active. The characters are all different, so there's some of them have got different buffs, like the main character, I've forgotten his name, the main guy from the...
Rickles.
Is that right, Rick? Yeah.
Yeah.
He can execute headshots for a time, and then there's somebody who can get fast reloads or one-hit kill, melee kills is another one, and you just mix and match them to make sure that you've got the best squad. And that was really smart. Making sure that you've got everything, all bases covered at every time is great. And I love that. I was surprised, absolutely surprised. I expected to play it for maybe 5 minutes and it'd be my number 10 or something, but. Yeah, man, it's really good. It's just so clever. Every aspect of it's really thought out, and I think that I'm probably going to get another couple of chapters on it.
Right. Yeah, it didn't really grab me, but I think the problem was it had been sold in my mind and things that I read that it was going to be like XCOM, and then I played it, and I only played the first couple of levels, and it was it felt just like a top-down shooter where you just tap the thing and things happen. And I was like, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I bought. What I thought I was buying, so I just gave up on it. But then I've heard a lot of people, you included now, saying that it is actually pretty good. So I might re-download it one day. I mean, I paid for it, so it's there.
Yeah, it actually made me think of XCOM, not because of how the sort of flow of the gameplay works, but because it just seems so, the way that every attribute of every character is different. You know, some characters can only use melee weapons and that's it.
Yeah.
And making sure you've got that, but some of them run faster, some of them sort of are a bit more sluggish. It seems like so much thought has gone into that side of it that I felt great when I put the right people in the right situation. And it's like, it reminded me of Zombie U in that it really, you can feel like you've got everything. Here's my 4 guys, we've got all our weapons, we're tooled up, we're ready to go, and you can fucking bite the dust at a moment's notice. So the whole time I thought it was quite tense for an action game. It was surprisingly tense, and yeah, that's just I'm really fucking impressed. Really impressed. I will no doubt talk about it again because I'm probably going to download subsequent episodes. But what a surprise! I was expecting fuck all from this, and it was the chapter 1's free, so just get stuck in. The Walking Dead Assault. Cool. It's Gleam.
Have you played the 360 one, the Walking Dead, the new one?
No, I will do.
You haven't.
I will do at some point.
Yeah, it looks shithouse, but I want to play it.
I love a shit game.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too. My number 3 isn't a shit game. It is Mark of the Ninja, or as I like to call it, Mark the Ninja, about a ninja called Mark. But fucking amazing game. Fantastic. One of the best stealth games I've played. I definitely prefer the fact it's in 2D to 3D because it cuts all the bollocks out and you can plan your assaults. You can still fuck up all the time, but it's down to you. It's not because of a dodgy camera or because you didn't go into cover right or any of the mechanical functional problems. It's all because your decisions were incorrect or you got overeager. Constantly throws new ideas like all the best 2D games. I've talked about it quite a bit before, but so the way your guy Mark moves around the environment is fantastic, and every single room or like section seems to have about 4 or 5 different ways you can do it, one of which of course is just sort of like run in there and stab everyone up as best you can, but like say Batman Arkham City, if you dive in too quickly you'll just get shot to fuck, so you do need to be stealthy and be a ninja basically, and just like popping into a room, stabbing a guy, dragging him into the back, popping up on your grappling hook to a thing, jumping in a vent, peeking out to see where the other guy is, blowing out the light, dropping down, stabbing him. Fantastic. Like when it all flows together and you're constantly getting points for doing well, and then that's how you graded in each level. It's such a great game. It's a shame that it's not 600 points still, because it's an amazing price for it as well. And it would have been so cool on Vita. It's a shame it's not on Vita. So it's like it's fucking the 2D art style is so nice. It would look so good on that screen. But it's a fucking classic. And if you've got a PC, it's always really cheap on Steam. It's always like £3 on there. So if you've got a PC and a fucking Xbox controller, you're laughing.
Yes, indeed. Well, it's my number 1, so I'll speak about it briefly in a minute.
Right.
I'll be brief about it, but I will speak about it in take. My number 3 is BioShock Infinite.
Okay, that's my number 2.
Okay, well, I finished it.
Sweet.
Are you doing it again on the hardest mode?
No. I've jacked that in. In fact, I started playing it on hard. I'll talk about it. Doesn't really matter, but I'm getting a PC today, a gaming PC that comes with it. So I'm going to start it again on hard on that. So very excited about that because it's going to look awesome.
Who sells PCs with free games?
Graphics cards quite often come with free games. My one's coming with this and Tomb Raider.
Oh, fair enough.
Which is sweet.
Yeah, quite. I finished it. It's... I say it's been a long time. It blatantly hasn't. It's one of those games. It's it's not the first game in a long time. It's one of those games that did not let me down the whole way through. I don't think there was any lulls in it. But I mean, the same could be said from Tomb Raider. So it's not a unique thing. I just think it started on a high and it didn't lose that high at all, and it maintained it right until the end. I like the ending. It's in the kind of way that I felt like I didn't quite understand it, but I was confident that it made sense.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of another example where that's happened, where it's so overwhelmingly complex, but you know that they're not fucking dicking you around, and there's things.
Yeah.
I mean, I had loads of questions, and there are probably, I mean, there are holes in it, of course, but it deals with paradoxes, so you have to sort of accept that. The only problem with it is that I know for a fact I'm going to get a hell of a lot more out of it when I play through it on a second time, but I probably don't have the time to do that. Maybe one day down the line. But yeah, really, I mean, just a absolutely fucking superb experience from beginning to end.
Truly, I've not had an experience with media like this since Fight Club, which I watched when I was 18, I think 17, and kind of completely changed the way I think about everything. And this hasn't had quite a profound effect as that, because I'm, old and fucking shriveled up and miserable these days. But that's not actually true, but you know what I'm saying.
Wow.
But yeah, I have spent hours reading the fucking Reddit threads, reading forums, listening. I've listened to about 6 or 7 hours of Ken Levine interviews where he talks about the sort of the pre-release and a couple of post-release interviews. Completely and utterly obsessed, to the point where I've not actually played the game that much, even though it's high up on my list. I've been so involved in the game that I'm still considering that it's very high up. There's been a lot of backlash. There was a couple of good videos that were put out picking holes in the game, and it's like almost all of the criticisms against it I can't actually disagree with, like people picking holes in the combat or a couple of little inconsistencies in the story. But Kieran Gillen wrote a piece on Rock Paper Shotgun this week or last week about the game, and just talking about how much more it is than the sum of its parts, but the sum of its parts is also amazing, and how it's just like a really poetic experience. And I was completely on board with all of that. I could go into proper Wankville about this game. But truly one of the most profound experiences I've had in media, and amazing. It just fucking blew my mind. I'm so happy that I gave it 10 out of 10. My quote's on the side of a bus, which makes me feel pretty cool. And I'm just so pumped. The PC's coming in a couple of hours, and hopefully it'll all work and everything, because I don't know how to work PCs, and I can play it as it was intended, because I've watched like the 1080p videos of the game on YouTube, and just fuck me, it looks amazing, and it looks fucking great on 360.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, that is one special game.
No doubt. Were you confident in the end that you understood the?
No. I'm really stupid, so I didn't understand anything. But it kind of left me in the same way that I don't, if you don't, I'm not going to spoil anything, but if you don't want to know anything, don't listen for a second. In the same way, when I finished Inception, I was like, wow, I feel like something's happened to me, but I don't quite know what it was, and I needed to watch it again and read about it. And even though that's obviously open to interpretation as well, that's how BioShock left me. I'm way too stupid to have followed it, but then I went and started reading up on it. There's a brilliant thing on Reddit, which I can link you to if you want, that basically breaks it all down, and you see how well it's been put together. And then obviously, because it's quite a mathematical game in many ways, in the way it's constructed, a lot of gamers who are of that mind as well start picking tiny little holes in it here and there. But because I'm from that was a wanky sentence I was going to say, but I'm from a more cinematic, filmy background anyway, even though that doesn't mean anything. But I'm more prepared to give things more of an artistic license, more prepared. I've watched so many films where people, for example, people are saying, well, Colombia doesn't feel real, right? Because some of the way that people interact with you and stuff like that. But I've seen so many films where there's a kind of disconnect that's just done stylistically and deliberately, where things aren't supposed to feel real. I mean, Lynch is the obvious go-to point for anything like that, but there's it's countless films that use stylistic and directorial tricks and techniques to make you feel a certain way, and I think BioShock does that. And I think expecting everything to react like a Fallout game or a Skyrim, where you feel part of an actual world that exists, that was never their intention. So those are kind of my counters to those arguments. But those arguments make sense, if that's what you want and that's what you expect, then yeah, you're right. But that's you're missing the wood for the trees, or seeing the wood for the trees, or there's some trees involved. There's loads of trees. But I'm also very glad that most people, even the people that have got problems with the game, still really, really like it, which is great to hear.
Yeah. No, it's one of those, with regards to the plot, it's one of those stories that's so complicated that if you were really self-conscious about making sure there was no... Well, first of all, you could never make sure there was no holes in it. That's part of the problem with doing a story like this. I mean, I remember there's that line in... Bruce Willis goes back to his younger self. What the fuck is it called? We saw it in the cinema.
Looper.
Where he just says... He shrugs off that someone asks a question, he just shrugs it off and he's just like, just go with it, It's because there is a certain element of that. If Ken Levine was really, really self-conscious about ironing all the creases out, he'd never have made the game in the first place, because it's not possible. So the only reason you pick holes in it like that is if you didn't respond to the game, and that's fair enough. But I really did, and
Yeah.
I hope I get the opportunity to go through it. Go through it again. And if you're I don't know how you could possibly be on the fence about it if you're listening to this and you maybe thought it's not for you. Just pick it up. It's really something. It's something to do while everyone's still doing it, because I think conversations are still going on. It's so nice when everyone's kind of buzzing about a game the way they are buzzing about this. So
because I've been so involved in the conversation as well, although not actually taking part, just more reading. I've never known a game that's had this sort of reaction in terms of the story.
Yeah.
Mass Effect had one, but that was very different, very negative, and from a completely different place. This is from a way more intellectual place, and I don't say that in a wanky way. Just, that's what I've always wanted games to be able to achieve, and Levine's games do. A few others do too, but not every game has to be like that at all.
Yeah, true.
I love Meathead. Fucking Meathead for life, but. I do like stuff like this. I will link you to that thread.
Yeah, do that.
The one guy's, you can read it in about 5 minutes. If it doesn't blow your mind in the way it blew mine, because there are holes, but I tell you what, there aren't fucking many. He has covered a hell of a lot of the creases, and goddamn, just reading that, I was like, oh, I'm really fucking stupid. I had no idea any of this was happening, but I was still completely enamoured by it. I thought it was something else. Yeah. But I don't want to spoil anything by even saying what that is.
Yeah, but if
you've already played it.
Yeah, if you think that it's... I mean, it is complex and it is complicated, but it doesn't have to be that way. You can ignore all of that stuff and you can just let it wash over you and leave you dizzy at the end and just kind of...
That's basically what I did.
Yeah. Don't let that... That's no reason not to play it, because you should do that.
No doubt. So that was my number 2. So
isn't your number? So it's my number 2 now.
Yeah,
I'm confused. It's such a complicated setup. My number 2 is Battlefield 3.
Right.
Yeah, it's it's pure goddamn joy as usual. I don't know what to say about it. There's no me and my mates have got all the way through the assignments, which are just things to do while you're playing Battlefield. Get 10 kills with this weapon. Yeah. Initially they seemed so pointless. When I started playing Battlefield 3, I thought I'd never bother with those. Lionel, who just started playing it recently, who just all of a sudden decided to get into Battlefield, was laughing at us when we were sort of going, oh god, I need to get this, I need to get that, and now he's hooked on them. I just wonder if DICE will just... It can't be a lot of work, says the guy that knows absolutely nothing about what he's saying, but to just throw some more assignments, just because it's nice to have something to do when you go in. It's like, I might try and get this, or I might try and get that. It does make the game more entertaining than it already is.
Yeah, but maybe they won't want to encourage people to keep playing it, given...
I'm not beyond 4, but just like maybe just chuck us something next month, just to keep us all going. Because I mean, it's disarmingly popular still, and I'm seeing a lot of new people coming onto it. So people are. I guess people like you. Didn't you say that probably people have jumped on because they saw Battlefield 4 and wanted to see what 3 was like?
I didn't say that, but that's a valid thing. Although the stuff they showed about Battlefield 4 is just pure snooze as far as I'm concerned. But I don't care. I was burnt by that campaign in 3. Fuck me. Yeah. So they're going to have to do something special to make it interesting. Although it looks amazing, obviously.
Yeah, it does.
But, I know the multiplayer will be fantastic.
Yeah. It's so strange that they were like showing all those cryptic trailers with like a bit of a tank and a bit of a chopper. And you're like, reveal coming, and you're like, then no one fucking cares about the campaign. But anyway, Battlefield 3, it's great. I'd love some more assignments, because the other thing is it gets you to try out new weapons and stuff that you wouldn't normally do, and that's because there's so many weapons and so many different things for weapons and all this stuff that it's nice. But Battlefield 3, why aren't you playing it? You got problems?
You've got to go and check out your videos. You don't, because you made them. Yeah. But everyone should check out Chet's Week in Batters. I'm just saying this as a fan. They're fucking funny. Check out the YouTube channel, Chet and John. It should just be called Chet. But they're properly funny. They deserve to have a lot more views than they get. Everyone who watches them fucking cracks up. So
Oh, good.
At least give Chet a reason to keep playing Batters.
Oh, good. Cheers. Well, I appreciate that, boy.
No worries. That was your birthday present. Nice. Right, my number 1 is Fire Emblem Awakening. I talked about it super briefly last week because I basically turned it on and done nothing. I played the fuck out of it all week. It's really, really good. I think everybody kind of knew that. I'd never played Fire Emblem before, but I was very aware of its work. I played a ton of Advance Wars, so the format's very similar, made by the same people, obviously. But Fire Emblem's deeper just because it has a proper story. I know Advance Wars does as well, but it is an RPG. in terms of its story. And the story's actually quite good. It's kind of like this one's like a kind of breezy Game of Thrones, I call it. This like it doesn't hang around too long on dialogue. It's not one of those games where you're pushing A for like 20 minutes to get through people talking. Every cutscene, everything's done within a couple of minutes. It's that kind of classic Nintendo snappy dialogue, a bit of suggestive humour in there, but nothing too much. Some funny characters. But the best thing about Fire Emblem by far is the fact that the characters can die and they're dead. And I mean, you can, like XCOM for example, you'd name a guy and you'd become attached to them and then they'd die on the battlefield and you'd be gutted. But these are proper characters with proper written stories. You're not naming them; they're actual characters with stories, and you can actually have them interact with each other in the barracks in between fights and stuff like that. And you learn about them, and they're cool. A lot of them are like quite cool, fun characters, and then they just fucking die, and then that's it. They're gone forever. And if you level a guy up and you like his personality as well, and he just fucking bites on the battlefield, you're like, fuck, man, Frederick, my guy. The battling itself is really good. You know the deal. It's turn-based, grid-based strategy by people who really, really know how to do that sort of shit. There's cool stuff where you can, if you put one of your guys next to another one of your guys, they'll kind of pair up. So when it goes to the battle screen, they can buff each other. One might jump in the way and block the attack, or they might both attack, or things. So you start to build up relationships between your different characters, and they'll, the more you play and the more they play together, their relationships will improve, so their buffing will improve, so you naturally start to create little teams within your team, and then weirdly they can get married and have kids. It's fucking crazy. It sounds complicated, but it's no more complicated than Advance Wars at all. Highly recommended. It is a bit easy on normal for anyone who's played this type of game before, mainly because you do get this character called Frederick, who's a great knight from the start. He's just a bad motherfucker, way, way harder than everybody else. And you can basically, for the first 10 hours of the game, just send him out. And people will attack him. He's like, no damage, one stab, dead. No damage, one stab, dead. He's a badass. He's fucking awesome. But after a while, battle after battle after battle it's starting to become a bit of a procession. The difficulty then jumps up. Boom, one mission. Suddenly, half my team got smashed because I was arrogant enough to keep playing it like an idiot. But the curve's not, I wouldn't say it's very good, but I think they've done it deliberately so new people who've never played this game before can come in and not be overwhelmed, which is exactly what I was, I guess. But and I imagine it would have been too hard to put it on hard. But if you play Fire Emblem, if you've done this sort of thing before, I recommend sticking it on hard because it does get a bit repetitive. But very, very good, very cool game. 3DS is strong at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to playing that very much. If you lose a character you like on the battlefield, is there like a really rigid autosave system, or can you sort of jump back and go and do it again?
There's 3 save slots, so if you're clever with it, you can go back and, if you really lose someone or you get massacred, because you can back yourself into a hole where your team gets fucking massacred, and it's not like XCOM where you can just recruit new soldiers, and you only get new characters when the story dictates.
Did you get? But did you get the feeling then that if there's so much plot involved that those characters were supposed to die where they did?
No. With the plot, basically you've got 2 main characters, yourself and this guy Crom, who's like the prince. If either of those die on a battlefield, it's game over. So you need them. Certain other key characters, where if they go down on the battlefield, you won't be able to use them again, but you'll get a bit of dialogue, which is like, oh, I can't hack this, I need to retreat, so they don't die. There's maybe 3 or 4 characters that have that, so they can still be involved in the story, but they're not fighting anymore. But everyone else that you meet, they're like, I can't believe I've died like this, and boom, they're done. Yeah. And it's not story based at all. It's like you made the mistake, you put them out in front of a guy that's way too hard, and he got hacked up, and that's it. And people will die, but it's just fucking great. It's a great game.
Okay. I can't wait to play it.
Yeah, you'll really fucking like it.
There's got to be online multiplayer, right?
No.
What?
No, there's not.
There's no competitive multiplayer at all?
I don't know if there's like ad hoc, but there's no online, which is strange. But I don't play those games in multiplayer, so it doesn't bother me.
What?
But,
terrible.
I think it's because it's all character based. As opposed to Advance Wars, where you just got like your standard tanks, your standard dudes, your standard choppers and whatnot.
Yeah, but I mean, there's no equivalent of Advance Wars on the 3DS, and that's driving me insane.
Yeah, they need to make one.
They need to make one with multiplayer. That's what I need.
Because the multiplayer in this is like XCOM. Like every character is so individualized because the way you level them up, RPG style, as opposed to, you're not bringing in Advanced Wars. You're not bringing that tank through into the next battle, are you? That's now it's always a fresh set of gear. So this isn't. These are characters and they've got specific equipment, specific stats, whatnot. So then to do a multiplayer, I don't really know how it would work. I think some of the others have multiplayer, but
yeah, they did, yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I haven't played any of them before, but to me, it's not to the game's detriment. It's fantastic and fucking massive game. So you could play it for hours, and there's all this free DLC and all this stuff. Brilliant stuff. 3DS is strong at the moment. Fuck me.
Yeah. A mate of mine bought my old 3DS because I convinced him that we could play Fire Emblem together, so I'm going to try and hope that he never finds out it ever I'll just say, it got delayed, man, I don't think it's ever coming out. And then hopefully a few months down the line I'll be like, yeah, that one's like an offshoot, whatever. I'll talk about that almost certainly next week.
Let's listen to this podcast.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I'll delete it. My number one then is Mark of the Ninja. We've spoken about it already. Mark of the Ninja, I've heard about it since it came out, as many people have, because it was really, really spoken highly of. And it's playing it now has made me realise that I don't like stealth, and I don't really have a lot of time for ninjas, because Mark of the Ninja, I just thought I'm not interested.
Right.
And this Mark of the Ninja reminds me, and this is going to sound like a piss take, but this is genuinely the biggest compliment I can provide. It reminds me of those old Splinter Cell games that you used to be able to play on the first generation of really, really shit hot mobile phones. So I had it on one of those Sony Ericsson bricks that had a camera and you could make they were made by Gameloft. And I think they did 2 or 3 on the phone, and I just thought they were absolutely superb. They really nailed the stealth element, because I don't like stealth, but these were so. When Splinter Cell, the console version, abandoned stealth, I was so happy. I was like, now it's an action game with bits where you hide behind cover. That suits me, but it's only because it was so pernickety about how you did it. These, you really genuinely feel like you're a ninja, because. You don't feel superhuman. You don't feel like you're doing anything that a human being couldn't conceivably do.
Yeah.
But the way you're forced to use the environment, the way you're forced to use all of your tools, and you can fuck up at a moment's notice. Again, that's another thing where you feel like you're walking on a high wire. That's the stealth games I always found boring. Even when they tried to inject too much action, I always found them dull. But this is gripping. Consistently gripping. The level, it looks great. I love the animated cartoon cutscenes. I just love the look of it in general. I like the sound design. When you do something like you fire a shuriken at a light, and all the glass shatters, and there's guys there going, "What happened here?" Their banter is not realistic as such, but it's so much better than what you normally get.
Yeah.
Where they say, "Well, we've got to have that looked at," or if you peek out through a vent. Like when you're sort of looking into a room to see what's in there, because every time you lean against an adjacent wall, you sort of it stops being fuzzy. It's fuzzed out until you're close enough to it, and then when you're next to it, and they'll say, "Oh, we've got to get that vent fixed. That vent's fixed," and you really feel like, "Well, I bet if I can get out of the way."
Yeah, yeah.
And I like the fact that one of the bad guys is like a Canadian guy doing a Cockney accent. That's amusing. 1,200 Microsoft points is a steal. It's not on sale anymore, but I got it for 600 Microsoft points, and I feel like I've robbed someone. The only problem with it, I suppose, the controls take a little bit of getting used to, because in every game of the last 5, maybe 10 years, jumping off something or going down a ledge is B, and in here it isn't. It's down and jump.
That's right, yeah.
It takes a little bit of getting used to. It's pretty much fucking blown me away. I think it's comfortably one of the best games on the Xbox Live Arcade. Right up there with the Trials games, right up there with like Shadow Conspiracy. The best of Xbox Live Arcade is way up there. And the beauty of it is it's really accessible, but not only does it get more challenging and sort of clever as it goes on, the challenge rooms are fucking but the first challenge room stumped me completely.
Yeah, I went into it and I didn't understand it, so I just walked out.
That's basically what I did, but I did have a go, but I was like, this is so, I couldn't figure it out. But I will go back to them, and it's just, there's that to go back to if you complete it. And there's not, collectibles that aren't a ball ache, and it's all about.
Yeah, the collectibles are fun.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You don't have to traipse in the middle of fucking nowhere, and it doesn't. It's not a shitbag like that. Using the shadows, all about timing, and it's just so good. It really is.
Even the little mechanic where when you go to kill someone and it gives you the direction and the button to press,
and you can fuck
it up. Yeah,
and if there's another guy,
God damn it.
Yeah, and then you can hear the other guy will hear you.
And even if you do fuck up and you get killed, you only get sent back a few seconds. So it's all about you can afford to experiment a little bit, but you lose your score. So that's a really great balance as opposed to kicking you back miles like most stealth games do.
Yeah, indeed. And just with when you compare it to something like Ninja Gaiden 3, I know that's not a stealth game, but the art of being a ninja and using the shadows to your advantage and timing and just. There were moments when I took out a room full of guys, and I was just like, that was so cool. But you never feel like anything's beyond you. You can sort of dip in and out of vents and stuff, and jump out here and shoot that light out, kill that guy, drag him underneath. I mean, it's so good, so good. And I don't like stealth games, and I'm not a massive fan of ninjas myself, but Mark of the Ninja is fucking tremendous.
Good old Marky Mark.
What's his surname? Oh, is it actually Mark Wahlberg?
No, it's just Mark.
Mark. Check.
Yeah, he's good on Ninja though.
All right, good.
I'd imagine there'll be a sequel to that because I think it's done rather well. And they made Shank 2, so I'd imagine they'll make Mark of the Ninja 2.
Well, I hope so.
Donnie. Right, that's it, isn't it?
It is. We're done.
Episode 58 in the motherfucking can. Thank you very much for listening. Check out the YouTube channel, Chet and John's. Should just be called Chet, but it's called Chet and John's. And check out those Battlefield videos because they are fucking funny. Follow us on Twitter, @JohnDenton, @ChetRoivus, @Chet and John's. There's the Facebook page. You can find that on Facebook if you want. That's about it. Peace out. We'll see you next week. I'll have a PC and I'm going to talk about how nice they are and bore everyone shitless.
Yay! One quick thing, one of our listeners, a mate of mine, Toby, let me know that he listens on an Android phone, and apparently it's quite a pain in the arse, but there's an app that you can download that allows you to access iTunes or something like it, from what I understand. I don't remember what it's called, so I will insert it here from go.
iTunes Podcast Player. Developed by Nonlinear Soft.
So whatever I just said, download that if you're listening on an Android phone and you're done. Thanks for listening. Check you later.
Check it.
You picked the wrong guys to rob, Sensei. It's time for the old man to retire, boys.